Do you want to play basketball like this guy? Or maybe you want to be like this guy?
Gets another look at a three.
Then you need the Blast by Reebok. Hey guys, welcome back to Kicks Wizards channel. Today we're looking at one of the most iconic models from the mid-90s. And of course, we're talking about the Reebok, the Blast. This was part of the original Mobius pack released in the mid-90s by Reebok with models like the Blast, like the Shiknosis, like the Kamikaze 2, and like the Big Hurt. All these models featured a lot of interesting combinations and patterns, but primarily they featured in black and white color. They kind of overlapped in a different designs. A lot of very famous and iconic designers from Reebok worked on these models, including Mr. John Morris, including Mr. Craig Filler, which he was the design of the Blast. And I think he knocked it out of the park with this design that resonates with the culture even today, because this is one of the most craziest and one of the most different designs that we have ever seen on the court at the time, that even comes all the way today. Now, I originally saw the pictures of this model coming to a release end of last year. I was really surprised actually, because I thought we'll never see this model again after the last one, 2014 release, I think almost 10 years ago, which by the way, I got 2 pairs. I just thought maybe Reebok will move to other models or newer models, but here we are again with the Blast, and I'm not really offended by it. I'm very happy because I really wanted to grab another pair, despite the fact that I already have 2. I wanted to get another one and see what the difference is, and right off the bat, even without me getting the other retros out of the boxes and getting deep dive inside the sneaker closet trying to find them, I can tell you immediately some of the differences. The black overlays on this new retro is slicker, more like a synthetic leather than the synthetic nubuck we've seen on the previous one. Same goes, of course, on the heel here, same goes on the tongue. But honestly, I'm not offended about this change. Actually, the shoe looks more like some of the original pairs back in the day. And here, almost entirely the rest of it is preserved. We have the same white inner liner, we have the same amount of padding, maybe slightly less than the previous one, but I think very, very similar. We have the same black and white laces, which are again weirdly super long. I don't know what the deal is with these laces, but the previous retro, they were very long as well. I don't remember the original pair being very long. Of course, I didn't own it. And these are produced in October of 2022, so not too far in the past, kind of recently. And the only negative I can personally see with this pair is the insole. Again, we're seeing the run out of the mill, super simple, not very good insole that Reebok have been putting in all sorts of models lately. I'm not a huge fan of this, not even the Reebok Athletics insole that was on the original one, and I think it was on the retro as well. I remember distinctly seeing this shoe on TV, watching basketball before I even saw them in stores, and honestly, I was following all basketball games at the time, and of course we had Nick the Quick Van Exel rocking this very memorably on the screen, and Sam Cassell, Sam Perkins, a lot of other players that had contracts with Reebok were trying this model and were rocking it. And what I saw first is, I think it was a free throw line, and Nick the Quick Van Exel was facing this way on the TV. So I saw the shoe and I was like, oh, well, that's an interesting Reebok model. I really like the pattern, the black and white. And I was like, how is the shoe gonna look in black? Because all the time we all wanted to get the black-based version of the shoes because they were lasting longer, they were not getting as dirty. When you were poor, there's different priorities. So anyway, I was looking at this and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I wanna see it in a different colorway. And on the next play, he was on the other side. So I look at the shoe and I was like, wait a minute, did he change shoes mid-game? What's the deal here? So later in the game, I realized that the shoe actually has a different base depending on how you're gonna look the shoe. Are you looking at on the left side or you're looking on the right side? So it's not even medial versus the lateral side, it's the left side of the shoe or the right side of the shoe, or left side of the player, right side of the player, whatever you're gonna put it. That was one of the most incredible and mesmerizing designs that I can think of at the time. And I was instantly in love with this model. Of course, I always wanted it. Of course, it was too expensive. Of course, I could not afford it. So long story short, just like everything else, I finally have a pair, and I've had the previous retro. So I'm extremely happy that Reebok brought this one back. Now, comfort-wise, they're just as comfortable as the previous retro. I think the midsole is slightly denser than the original. And speaking of the original one, here is the Vindicator. The Vindicator is the low top version of the Blast. It's the exact same shoe with the exact same technology. We have the exact same midsole, outsole, kind of a same pattern on the outside, despite the fact that this one is more of a classic looking because you have white based and only the Blast effect is black. But here the black overlay is old school synthetic nubuck that is not as shiny as the original one. We have a nice Reebok Athletics insole that was on every single model at the time, pretty much, that you can just pull out and wash whenever it gets dirty. And we have synthetic upper. So this is one of the things that was preserved. Synthetic upper was on the original one, and synthetic upper is on the retro and on the previous retro. So don't be fooled if you think, oh, the materials are not incredible, they're not great. They are, just like they were on the original one. Reebok were experimenting with a lot of synthetics at the time. It was not the early 90s with almost the entire line was genuine materials. Here we're looking at synthetics, and these synthetics are very specific. They're not like the ones today. They're slightly different. They're a little bit more leather looking or on touch and feel. But the biggest difference here is this 25-year-old pair midsole is actually softer than this retro. Of course, here on the lateral side we have Hexalite, and on the heel we have Ultra Hexalite, which is 8mm. And this shoe is much more comfortable than this one. Obviously still wearable original pair of the Vindicator. At the time, again, Reebok were pushing a lot of visible Hexalite because Hexalite was great, but when it comes to marketing, if you don't see it on the outside when the shoe is in display, people were not very much into it right away. So they figured out a way to start putting on the lateral side or the heel, make it visible, starting with the Instapump Fury, and then carried on with models like that, the Blast, the Shiknosis, and other ones that were expanding on that possibility to be able to see the Hexalite. Of course, now we don't have the Hexalite, we have Hexalite-ish looking material that is not the same. And trust me when I tell you, if you put this one on feet compared to this one, the differences are obvious. Maybe because of the softer midsole, but the Hexalite is a big part as well because we have, again, Ultra Hexalite 8mm in the heel. At the end of the day, what can I say? I think this retro is super successful. It was already released earlier last year by some of the Reebok partners, and a lot of you bought this pair and you guys were asking me, hey, are you gonna review it? Are you gonna review it? Yeah, I wanted to, but I went to my local champs, my local Finish Line, and they were not on sale. So I would guess I was not lucky with like you guys. So now they're finally available from Reebok.com. You can go ahead and get them and go through the size. For me, if you're not a wide footer, through the size is fine. If you have wide feet, maybe you should consider half a size up because they kind of run narrow. A lot of people have been complaining about this pull tab, the plastic ring digging into their heel. Wear taller socks. That's what I gotta tell you. This is how the original one was, and look at this one. This one is getting even more dug into your heel. So there's no big difference right here. You can expect the same. So just wear taller socks, just like we did in the 90s, and you'll be fine. But these are crazy, and every time you wear them, I guarantee you, you're gonna strike some conversations with strangers because people are genuinely interested what type of shoe is this. And I've worn mine many times, and every time somebody asks me what type of shoe it is because how crazy they look and how different they are compared to anything else. I believe last time I counted the vector logos placed on this shoe, and there are 10. We have 6 on each side. We have 1 on the tongue, 1 on the heel, 1 on the outsole, and 1 on the insole, so 10. They went crazy with the vector logos, but I really appreciated it because this is part of the charm of the shoe, and that minimalistic branding with the tiny vector logo on the sides was one of my favorite parts back in the day because the design was sticking out and not massive logos like some other companies we know were making. This time frame when the tiny logos were coming out, it is my favorite because the designs were really mattered. and not the branding or over branding. So yeah, go ahead and grab yourself a pair. I guarantee you, wear it, you're gonna enjoy it. Is one of those shoes that are gonna be classic. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe if you're new. I have a lot more videos coming. 3 original pairs are on the channel. I'm filming videos right now to show you. You guys gonna love these. And as always, you have a wonderful day.